Books change the way we think, books change the way we perceive the world, books change our whole life. And in today's video, I'm going to recommend you 10 such amazing books. All the books that I'm recommending are in the description below. In case you want to, please grab them from Amazon using the links in the description, because that will help me a lot in keeping my channel alive. And in case you like my channel, make sure you're subscribed and you have hit the notification bell on. I've arranged the books in order of their difficulties, so I'll start with the easiest ones and move towards the ones that are hardest to read because of their language. So the first book that I want to recommend is Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I'm not a huge fan of this book. I like Looking for Alaska much better. But the thing is, this book is very amazing in case you want to change your perspective towards people who are suffering from a disease like cancer. It provides such a wide view. The protagonists of this book are cancer patients, and the way they look at this world is very, very different from the way we do. And John Green's writing style is very simple yet very effective in bringing that out. Next, I'll recommend R.K. Narayan's English Teacher, one of my favorite books. In fact, I love this book more than R.K. Narayan's most famous book, Malgudi Days, because it discovers the concept of mortality and the fact that life has to go on. I love this book even more than Malgudi Days because it discovers the fact that mortality is there, but life also has to go on through all the difficulties. And I love R.K. Narayan's writing style in this book. In fact, I found R.K. Narayan's writing style way better in this book than it is in Malgudi Days. I think it's an unpopular opinion, but yeah, it's my opinion. And I really, really love this book, and you must read this book. Speaking of the concept of life and death going together, please pick up Norwegian Wood if you want to. The next book that I'll recommend is one of the most famous classics of all time, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. What I really love about this book and what will change you is the fact that how materialism and romanticism are sort of contrary, but they do exist together. It's really complicated, and there are so many things to understand if you're reading The Great Gatsby. But to me, the materialism of our human society appealed the most in this book. The next book that I recommend is Sujit Banerjee's Rukhsat, The Departure. It reminds you of all the catastrophes that may happen in your life and how you must be dealing with them. The characters in this book do not deal with them in the perfect or the best way, but they do. And the whole book is so assorted. It's about 26 people whose names start with the 26 letters of the alphabet. The short stories just changed my view on people who have had abortions, on people who have had divorces. It's just life-changing. Please guys, read this book. I love this book. The language is amazing. The short stories are only about 4 pages long approximately. So they are very quick reads which just change you in a matter of seconds. If there's a book that I've reread 10 times or even more, it's The Little Prince. I read this book sometime this year, and after that I just keep going back to it all the time that I want to, because I absolutely love this book. The best thing about The Little Prince is that it changes with time. If you read it at the age of say 10, you think it's a fairy tale. If you read it at the age of 18, you will understand that it's a story about passing from childhood to adulthood. The best line of this book is that we were all children once, but it seems that we have all forgotten it. I don't think I'm quoting the line absolutely to the word. I'll leave it in somewhere here. But the thing is, that is so true. As we grow up, we stop imagining, we stop having the dreams that we used to, because now we know what reality is, and that is such a tragedy. This book will remind you that it's always time to dream. It's always time to keep aspiring for things that may seem a bit weird and impossible.
One of my favorite parts in this book is when the narrator says that he saw a picture of a boa constrictor in a book, and he was so fascinated by that picture that he decided to draw a boa constrictor eating up an elephant. So he drew something like this. Now, everybody to whom he showed the picture thought that it is a hat. Finally, when he could not convince anyone that it was actually a boa constrictor eating an elephant, he drew a different picture. But no matter to whom he went, everybody said it's a hat. This amazingly portrays the fact that we suppress the imagination of children, sometimes unknowingly, because we are more accustomed with reality.
The next recommendation will be Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This book is so good. It's about a family where the father is the head of the family, obviously, but he is very, very tyrannical at times. And even though he does love his family, the way he acts with them is really not the way you should with your family members. The family members are obviously very, very oppressed all the time. The protagonist of this book is Kambili, the daughter, but her brother also plays a major role, as does their mother. And I absolutely loved how this thing worked out. The thing is, there are dysfunctional families in the society. If you think about it, even our families are quite close to being dysfunctional, and there are so many times when you become a teenager that you start realizing that this is not the place you want to be, and that's when a feeling of revolt overcomes you, and when it does, things may get really, really bad. The next recommendation I have is Sassy by Madeline Miller, and you must read this book in case you want to be a fearless person who actually knocks their obstacles out, who laughs at the face of their obstacles, and you want to succeed in every sphere of your life. This is the attitude that you must have, the attitude Sassy had. And I know everything ends at the same place, but it's still worth going on, and that is what makes life human life for us. The last three books are a little bit difficult in language, so I won't really recommend them unless you want to improve your vocabulary, unless you want to understand difficult books, or unless you are an intermediate reader. There's Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. This book is about this man called Raskolnikov who does not really know who he is. I can't say anything more without spoiling it for you, but the thing is, the best thing about this book is that it makes you question the fact whether you know what you are. Just pause this video right here and think, are you really who you think you are? I don't think the answer will be yes. We think that we know who we are. Okay, I think that I am a girl who wants to be a booktuber, who wants to make it big on YouTube, who wants to maybe make people read. I am a girl who wants a happy family. I am a girl who wants to read books. I'm also a girl who wants to kill people sometimes. But am I really that? Like, is that really me? So maybe when you ask that question to yourself, maybe the answer will come that no, you're actually something different, but you don't really know what it's you are. This guy called Raskolnikov, he does do some things which are really, really terrible, thinking that he is a terrible person, but he eventually realizes that he's a good man. And that's the thing, guys. We are a mixture of good and bad mixed together. That's what makes us human. There's no one who is like a Sass of Saas Bahu serials, all evil. There's no person who is like a Bahu of a Saas Bahu serial, all pure. We are a mixture of purity and impurity. What is more in us actually forms our personality, and as long as the majority of yourself is good, I don't think there's gonna be a problem in the society. The next book is 1984 by George Orwell, and honestly I feel like we are just like this close to living in this place, this dystopia of 1984. You won't really understand unless you read this book, but the thing is, you must read this book to understand how governments, how dictatorships control you, how people may manipulate your mind, but it's your duty to think. So if somebody tells you a particular statement, don't just accept it. Think for yourself, is that true? There's a government in 1984 which is making people their slaves, literally. They are always watching them. Like, there's a very famous statement that Big Brother is watching you. So all these citizens are always being watched, and there are so many things that are considered crime in this place, even though they are just like normal human things. And that's so pathetic. If you are reading 1984, please make sure that you're ready to cry your heart out. The last recommendation that I have is Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, and this is similar to 1984, but it mostly highlights the suppression of women in a society that has reduced the status of women to just people who give birth.
One of my favorite lines from this book is that we were the people who were not in the papers. We lived in the blank white spaces at the edges of print. It gave us more freedom. We lived in the gaps between the stories.
I hope you enjoyed these book recommendations and are going to pick some of them up according to your taste. Make sure you're leaving a comment below telling me about some books that changed your life, because I'd love to know. In case you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and in case you want to support my channel, make sure you're becoming a patron or donating through Amazon gift cards, because that helps my channel keep running. And till my next video, bye bye.